Good afternoon, students. In the last lecture, we have discussed about the hybridization in the cross-pollinated crop. Okay, we have discussed in detail regarding the hybridization methods which are used in the self-pollinated crop, and also we have discussed about the hybridization method in the cross-pollinated crop. Okay, now in today's lecture we are going to discuss another term in the hybridization, and that is heterosis and hybrid vigor. That is the topic of our discussion in today's lecture. Okay, heterosis and the hybrid vigor, it is the topic for the discussion in today's lecture. Okay, the first of all, the concept of heterosis, or we can say the definition of heterosis, or what is mean by the heterosis. Okay, here you can see the heterosis. It can be defined as the superiority of the F1 hybrid over both the parents in terms of yield and some other characters. Okay, heterosis, it can be defined as the superiority of the F1 hybrid over both the parents in terms of yield and some other character. Okay, we have studied the definition of the hybridization. Okay, as per the hybridization method, whenever the two homozygous inbreds whenever the two homozygous inbreds having the different genetic constitution, these are crossed with each other, then the progeny produced, it is a hybrid, and it is superior, it is vigorous, it is productive, it is sturdier, taller than that of their parents. Okay, I'm repeating this one. Whenever the two homozygous inbreds having the different genetic constitution are crossed with each other, the hybrid produced, it is more vigorous, productive, sturdier, taller than that of their either parents. Okay, and this increased superiority or the productivity of the hybrid over their parent is referred as the heterosis or the hybrid vigor. Okay, whenever the F1 hybrid, it is superior than that of their either parents, it is said to be the hybrid vigor or the hybrid vigor or the heterosis. Okay, the the increased superiority or the productivity of the hybrid over their parent is referred as the hybrid vigor or the heterosis. Okay, here you can see the hybrid vigor. Sometimes in some of the book you can see the hybrid vigor and the heterosis, these are used as a synonym, while some of the plant breeders use these word differently. Okay, some plant breeder thought that the heterosis and the hybrid vigor, these are entirely different terms. Okay, but in majority of the books you will find that the hybrid vigor, it is you hybrid vigor, that term, it is used as a synonym of the heterosis. Okay, that is it is considered that the crossing between the two homozygous inbred, it results in either the vigorous or weak hybrids when compared with the parental inbreds. Okay, it is considered that the crossing of two homozygous inbred, it may result in either vigorous or weak hybrids as compared to their parental inbreds. Okay, and therefore it is generally agreed that the hybrid vigor, it refers to only superiority of the hybrid over the parent. Okay, when the hybrid produced by the crossing, it is superior over their parent, then that phenomenon, it is referred as the hybrid vigor. Okay, while the plant breeder refers the heterosis to both increased vigor and the weakness of the hybrid. Okay, whatever the hybrid is produced, it is vigorous or superior than that of their parents, or it may be weak in the characters than that of their parents. That phenomenon, it is referring to the heterosis. Okay, some of the plant breeder believe that the heterosis and the hybrid vigor, that is, these are the synonym terms, these are similar terms, but some plant breeder believe that the heterosis and the hybrid vigor, these are completely different terminology. Okay, that means when the two homozygous plants are crossed with each other, the hybrid produced, it may be superior than that of their parent, or it may be weak when compared with their either parent. Okay, when the hybrid which is produced after crossing, it is more vigorous, superior than that of their either parent, then in that case that phenomenon is referred as the hybrid vigor. Okay, and when it may be the hybrid produced, it may be superior than that of their either parent, or it may be weak than that of their either parent. In that case, the hybrid produced, it is completely different from their parent, and that phenomenon here it is referred as the heterosis. Okay, that phenomenon it is referred as the heterosis. Okay, there is a much controversy regarding the use of these two terms, heterosis and hybrid vigor. Okay, but over the whatever may be the controversy over the equivalence of these two terms, heterosis and hybrid vigors, both have been used interchangeably ever since, and still the same state of condition as in ogin practically. Okay, whatever may be the controversy over the equivalence of heterosis and hybrid vigor, both these terms have been used interchangeably ever since. Okay, that means the hybrid vigor and heterosis, that is these are used terms as per the convenience of the plant breeder. Okay, then if we thought that the heterosis and hybrid vigor, that is these are synonym, then we can say there are two types of the heterosis. Okay, there are two types of the heterosis. The first one is the positive heterosis, and another one is the negative heterosis. Okay, positive heterosis means what? Simply we can say when the two homozygous inbreds are crossed with each other, the hybrid produced it is superior than that of their either parents, then that phenomenon it is called as the positive heterosis. Okay, and when the two homozygous inbreds are crossed with each other and the hybrid produced it is weak than that of their either parents, then in that case that phenomenon is called as the negative heterosis. Okay, simply when the hybrid produced is superior, it is positive heterosis, and when the hybrid produced it is weak than that of their parent, it is the negative heterosis. Okay, that is all about the concept of heterosis and the hybrid vigor. Okay, then the next one here you can see the history of the heterosis. Okay, the heterosis, um, it is not a newly discovered phenomenon. Okay, the heterosis it is not a newly discovered phenomenon. It is known since the art of hybridization came into the existence. Okay, the heterosis it is not a newly discovered phenomenon. It is known since the art of hybridization came into existence. Okay, here in the slide you can see the quail rooter. Okay, the quail rooter in the 1763 was the first to report the hybrid vigor in the hybrids of the tobacco and the datura. Okay, quail rooter was the first scientist who used the hybridization technique for the commercial production of the new variety. Okay, he worked on the various varieties of the tobacco. Okay, and coil rooter he was the first to report the hybrid vigor in the hybrids of the tobacco plant and the datura. Okay, then in the Mendel in the 1865 observed this hybrid vigor or the heterosis in the pea crosses. Okay, all you know that Mendel given the laws of inheritance. Okay, and for this one he had done the lot of experimental work in the pea plant. Okay, and while working on the pea plant he observed the hybrid vigor phenomenon. Okay, Mendel in the 1865 observed this phenomenon in the pea crosses. Okay, while later in the 1876 Darwin also reported that inbreeding in the plants results in the deterioration of the vigor. Inbreeding means whenever the closely related plants or the plants having the same genetic constitution, similar genetic constitution are crossed, that is called as the inbreeding, and it will result in the deterioration of the vigor. That means the variety or the hybrid which is produced, it is weaker than that of their either parents. Okay, Darwin in the 1876 also reported that the inbreeding in the plants result in the deterioration of vigor, and deterioration of vigor in the hybrid, it is referred by the Darwin as a inbreeding depression. Okay, it was referred as the inbreeding depression. Okay, then in the gh shell in the 1914 proposed the term heterosis. Okay, gh shell in the 1914 proposed the term heterosis. The heterosis term that may be asked for the MCQ in the theory examination. The term heterosis, for the first time, it was used by the Dr. G.H. Shell in the 1940. That is a Greek term which is made up of two Greek words. Here you can see the heteros means the different, and osis means the condition. Okay, here the hybrid which is produced, it is completely different from their either parent, and that's why the terminology heterosis, it was come into existence, or we can say it was firstly used by the Dr. GHL in the 1914. Okay, while later on Poveri in the 1944 and 1945 reported that the crossing between the two homozygous inbred, it may result in either weak or superior or the vigorous hybrid when compared to the parental inbreds. Okay, Poveri in the 1944 and 45 reported that the crossing, however, may result in the either weak or the vigorous hybrid as compared to the parental inbreds. Okay, and Poveri was the first plant breeder who proposed that when the hybrid produced, it is weak or vigorous, it is said to be the heterosis, and when the hybrid produced, it is vigorous than that of their parental inbred, then that phenomenon is called as the hybrid vigor. Okay, but in some of the book you can find that the heterosis and the hybrid vigor, these terms, these are used as a synonym. Okay, that is all about the history of the heterosis or the hybrid vigor. Okay, heterosis or hybrid vigor, it is not the newly discovered phenomenon, rather it came into existence with the hybridization method. Okay, we have discussed the history of the heterosis and the hybrid vigor. Okay, now we are moving to the types of heterosis. Okay, sometimes the hybrid vigor or the heterosis, it is resulting from the other sources other than the crossing. Okay, sometimes that is, it is a well-known fact that the heterosis or the hybrid vigor, it is produced in the plant due to the crossing. But sometimes what happens, sometimes the hybrid vigor or the heterosis, it is resulting from the other sources other than crossing. Okay, and depending upon the basis of source of increased vigor, the heterosis, it is divided into the two types. Okay, the heterosis, it is divided into the two types depending upon the source of increased vigor in the hybrids. Okay, the first one is the true heterosis, and the second one, here you can see the pseudo heterosis. Okay, the two types of heterosis depending upon the source of increased vigor. Okay, the first one is the true heterosis, and the second one is the pseudo means false. Okay, pseudo heterosis. Here first one, true heterosis, in this phenomenon, the characters, these are inherited, superior characters are inherited from one generation to the another generation. Okay, and that type of heterosis is called as the true heterosis. True heterosis, it is of two types. The first one is the balanced heterosis, and the other one is the mutational heterosis. Balanced heterosis, it is a true type of heterosis which is produced by the crossing. That is, whenever the two homozygous inbreds are crossed with each other, the hybrid produced, it is vigorous than that of their parent, and such type of heterosis, it is called as the balanced heterosis. And the another type of the heterosis is the mutational heterosis. Mutation, sudden heritable changes takes place in the organism. Okay, mutational heterosis, here you can see this is type of the heterosis which is produced due to the sudden heritable changes in the organism. Okay, that is, these are the two types of the two heterosis. Of these two types, the balanced heterosis is of utmost importance to the plant breeder than the mutational heterosis. Okay, here the plant breeders mainly concern with this balanced heterosis rather than that of the mutational heterosis. Okay, because balanced heterosis, it is produced due to the crossing of the two homozygous inbreds. Okay, here the second type of the heterosis is the pseudo heterosis. Why it is called as the pseudo heterosis? Sometimes due to the more favorable environmental conditions, better cultural practices. Okay, sometimes due to more favorable environmental conditions and the better cultural practices, it will result into the increased growth and the luxuriance are observed in the plants, which is referred as the pseudo heterosis. Okay, pseudo heterosis, it is produced due to the favorable environmental conditions and the better cultural practices. Okay, which is resulted into the increased growth and the luxuriance. Okay, and which is referred as the pseudo heterosis. Why it is called as the pseudo heterosis? Because the characters which are created in the hybrids, these are mainly due to the surrounding environmental conditions and the better cultural practices. Okay, and such luxuriance or the increased growth, it is accidental, and this cannot be inherited from one generation to the another generation, and this cannot be utilized in the practical plant improvement. Okay, this is the temporary vigor of accidental occurrence, and this cannot be utilized for the practical plant improvement. Okay, that means here the plant breeders, these are mainly concerned with the balanced heterosis which is arised due to the crossing of the two homozygous inbreds. Okay, that is all about the types of the heterosis. Now the causes of the heterosis, there are different causes of the heterosis. Here you can see the first one is the genetic causes. Okay, here the causes of the heterosis, these are divided into the two part, the genetic causes, and the another one is the physiological causes. Okay, a genetic causes and the another one is the physiological causes. Okay, here you can see the first one, we are discussing the genetic causes. In the genetic causes, the two hypothesis was proposed. Okay, two hypotheses was proposed to find the causes of the heterosis. The first one is the dominance and the second one is the over dominance. Okay, here the first one is the dominance. This hypothesis, it is based on the assumption that the hybrid vigor results from bringing together the female dominant genes. Okay, this hypothesis, it is based on the assumption that the hybrid vigor, it is resulted from the bringing together the female dominant genes. Okay, and as per this theory, as per this hypothesis, the genes which are favorable for vigor and the growth, that are dominant, and the genes that are harmful to the individual, these are recessive. Okay, as per this theory, the genes which are favorable for vigor and growth, these are dominant. That means these dominant genes, they come together from the two parents, and that's why the heterosis, the hybrid which is produced, it is vigorous and superior than that of the either parents. Okay, while the genes which are harmful to the individual, these are recessive. Okay, however, the such a vigorous hybrid with the dominant genes have not been isolated practically yet. Okay, though this theory think that or thought that the dominant genes, these are mainly responsible for the vigor and the growth, and the harmful genes are, or we can say the genes that are harmful to the individual, are the recessive. As per the theory, the dominant genes from the two inbreds, that is, these are combined together, and that's why the hybrid which is produced, it is vigor. Okay, however, such a vigorous hybrids with the dominant genes have not been practically isolated yet. Okay, that is, this theory is called as the dominance. Then the next one, the over dominance hypothesis. Over dominance hypothesis. Here, over dominance hypothesis, it is based on the supposition that the heterozygosity is superior, based on the supposition that the heterozygosity, it is superior to the homozygosity. It is superior to the homozygosity. According to this hypothesis, there are contrasting alleles, for example, A1 and A2 for a single locus. Okay, and each allele produces favorable at different effects in the plant. Okay, each of the alleles, suppose here A1 and A2 are mentioned, these two alleles A1 and A2, these produces favorable at different effects in the plant. Okay, in the heterozygous plant A1 and A2, a combination of the effect is produced, which is more favorable in the plant than the effect produced by either of the alleles alone. Okay, that means A1 and A2, these are responsible for producing the different effects. But when the A1 and the A2 alleles which are present on the different locus, that is, they come together, they will produce, their combination will produce more, their combination will produce the hybrid which is more vigorous and more superior than that of their either parent. And that's why this hypothesis, it was referred as the over dominance hypothesis. Okay, this hypothesis, it was referred as the over dominance hypothesis. Okay, these are the genetic causes as per the hypothesis which was proposed by the different plant breeder. Okay, and these are, we have discussed under the genetic causes. Okay, then we are moving towards the physiological causes which are responsible for the hybrid vigor or the heterosis. Here the first one is the greater initial capital hypothesis. Okay, greater initial capital hypothesis. As per this hypothesis, the hybrid vigor is due to an increased initial embryo size. Okay, hybrid vigor, it is due to an increased initial embryo size, which is termed as the greater initial capital. Okay, means the increased initial embryo size, which is referred as the greater initial capital. Okay, then the second hypothesis or the second theory which was proposed, by which was proposed is the cytoplasmic nuclear interactions. Okay, as per this hypothesis, as per this theory, the hybrid vigor is the interaction of the cytoplasmic and the nuclear system. Okay, as per this theory, there is a certain interaction between the cytoplasm and nuclear system takes place, and due to which the hybrid becomes superior than that of their either parent. Okay, the cytoplasm, it is a transferred fluid which is rich in the RNA, and mitochondria, which is usually transmitted to the female parent to the offspring. Okay, the RNA which is present in the cytoplasma and the mitochondria which are present in the cytoplasma, these are usually transmitted to the female parent to the offspring, and that's why the offspring, or we can say the hybrid produced, these are superior. Okay, according to this cytoplasmic nuclear interaction theory. Okay, we have discussed the genetic causes and the physiological causes which may be responsible for the heterosis or the hybrid vigor. But whatever may be the cause, it may be genetical or the physiological, heterosis is a well known phenomenon. Okay, whatever may be the cause, it is genetical or physiological, the heterosis, it is a well known phenomenon. Okay, that means no one theory no one theory is accepted by the plant breeder. Okay, whatever may be the cause, genetical or the physiological, the heterosis, it is a well known phenomenon. Okay, then the effects of heterosis, here you can see the extent of heterosis. It is depending upon the origin. The extent of heterosis, it is depending upon the origin, relationship and compatibility between the the inbreds which are involved, compatibility of the inbreds which are used in the crossing process. Okay, the extent of heterosis depends upon the origin, relationship and the compatibility between of inbreds involved. Okay, the hybrids from the crosses between the distantly related inbreds, or we can say whenever the two inbreds having completely different genetic constitution are crossed, they will exhibit more hybrid vigor than those from more closely related parents. Okay, the hybrids from the crosses between the distantly related inbreds presumably exhibit more hybrid vigor than those from more closely related parents. Okay, more closely related parents. Okay, that is we can say in the phenomena of heterosis, that is it can be best explained with the example that is in our Hindu religion. You can see the marriages are not arranged between the close relatives. Okay, why? Because these are having the very similar genetic constitution. Okay, and that's why whenever the marriages are made between such a person, then what will happen? Their progeny that will suffer from the different types of the diseases, or that progeny will be weaker. Okay, and that's why generally the in this religion, in our religion, the marriages are made between the person that is which are not close relative. Okay, that's why their genetic constitution will be different and the progeny produced will be stronger. Okay, just like that in the plant this phenomenon is used, the hybrids from the crosses between the distantly related inbreds, okay, which are having the different genetic constitution, that is these the crosses are made and presumably exhibit the more hybrid vigor than those from the more closely related parents. Okay, then the amount of hybrid vigor, it is expressed in F1 hybrid plant, it is roughly proportional to the genetic diversity in between the two parental inbreds. Okay, the superiority of the F1 hybrid, it is proportional to the genetic diversity in between the two parental inbreds. Okay, the amount of hybrid vigor, it is expressed in F1 hybrid plant, it is roughly proportional to the genetic diversity in between the two parental inbreds. Okay, that's why the interspecific crosses exhibit more hybrid vigor than that of the intraspecific crosses. Okay, interspecific crosses exhibit more hybrid vigor than the intraspecific crosses. Okay, we are discussing the effects of heterosis. Okay, now these effects of heterosis, these can be studied under the three subheadings. The first one is these are this is the quantitative effects, then the second one is the biological effect, and the third one is the physiological effect. Okay, the effects, different effects of the effects of hybrid vigor. Okay, because the hybrid vigor or the heterosis, it does not affect individual as a whole. Okay, it does not affect individual as a whole on, but it affects its separate parts such as the for example root system in the carrot or the tubers in the potato. then the combs in colocasia, or hypocotyle in the turnip, beet, radish, or we can say the leaf in the cabbage, spinach, lettuce, then flower in the cauliflower, then the fruits in the pea, bhendi, brinjal, cucurbits, okay, and the grain size in the maize, okay, and the seeds in the peas and the dolichos, okay. And that's why the effects of the hybrid vigor and the heterosis, that is, these are expressed in three ways. The first one is the quantitative, the second one is the biological effect, and the third one is the physiological effect. Okay, I'm repeating this one. The heterosis or the hybrid vigor, it does not affect the individual as a whole, but it will affect its separate parts such as the root in carrot, tubers in potato, combs in colocasia, hypocotyle in turnip, beet, radish, then leaf in the cabbage, spinach, lettuce, flower in the cauliflower, fruit in the pea, bindi, brinjal, cucurbits, grain size in the maize, and seeds in the green peas and the dolichos. And that's why the effects, that is, these can be expressed in the three way. The first one, the quantitative effect. Quantitative effect, here you can see the increase in size and the genetic vigor. Okay, the hybrids are generally more vigorous. For example, these are larger, these are healthier and faster growing than that of their parents. Okay, the quantitative effects, increase in size and the genetic vigor. Okay, then the second one, increase in yield. Yield may be measured, yield, it may be measured in terms of grain, fruit, seed, leaf, tuber, or the whole plant. Okay, just we have discussed that case. The yield, it may be measured in terms of grain, fruit, seed, leaf, tuber, or the whole plant. Okay, the hybrids usually have the increased yield. And the third one, it is the better quality. Okay, the hybrids which are produced by the this by the crossing of inbreds, they show the improved quality. Okay, these are the different quantitative effects. Then the second one, physiological effect. Physiological effect, here you can see the hybrid produced, it is with the greater fertility and viability. Okay, then these are more efficient seed germination in this hybrid. Then longevity, that is the greater length of lifespan in the hybrid than their parents. Okay, then in the hybrid, the early flowering and maturity is observed. Then the hybrid produced, these are having the increased resistance to the diseases, insect, pest, drought. Then these are lessened susceptibility to the adverse environmental conditions. Okay, and the third one, it is the biological effect. Okay, biological effect, it is the increase in the biological efficiency such as reproductiveness and the survival ability exhibited in the economic character. Okay, biological effect, increase in the biological efficiency such as reproductiveness and the survival ability exhibited in the economic characters. Okay, that is all about the effects of the heterosis. Okay, then the second one, the last one here, the utilization and the limitations of this method. Okay, the utilization and the limitation. Okay, the heterosis and the hybrid vigor, that is, these are the phenomenon which are having the immense practical utility in all improvement of the all types of the crops. Okay, in all types of the crops, it is having the immense important practical utility. Okay, then but the task of its utilization in the different types of the crop, it is full of difficulties. Okay, because the methods of the heterosis, these are same as those are used in the hybridization. Okay, we have discussed the different techniques which are used in the hybridization method. Okay, for example, the hand emasculation, then hand pollination, hot water emasculation, then hand pollination, male sterility. Okay, then chemical separation of male flowers and free pollination. We have discussed all these techniques while studying the hybridization. Okay, and all these same techniques, these are used in the heterosis. Okay, here you can see the utilization and limitation of the heterosis and the hybrid vigor in the self pollinated crops. Okay, for the commercial utilization of the hybrid vigor, it requires the production of production of hybrid seeds in sufficient quantities to meet the demand of farmers. Okay, to meet the demand of farmers, the large number of the hybrid seeds should be produced so that these seeds will be provided to the farmers for the commercial cultivation. Okay, but the methods which are used in the self pollinated crops like the hand emasculation and the hand pollination, these are tedious, complicated, time consuming, and also by using this method less or the little amount of seeds are produced. Okay, and that's why whenever the self pollinated crops are compared with the cross pollinated crop, the little improvement is achieved in the self pollinated crops while using the heterosis and the hybrid vigor. Okay, but nowadays the different techniques, different new techniques are used like the genetical and the chemical methods of emasculation, and so that the heterosis and hybrid vigor, it can be also used successively in the self pollinated crops. Okay, that is the utilization and the limitation in the self pollinated crop. Now the heterosis and hybrid vigor in the cross pollinated crops. Okay, the heterosis and hybrid vigor, this method, it is used spectacularly in the cross pollinated crops. It is used extensively. Okay, but it is another limitation is that there is a very difficulty to maintain the hybrid vigor at the same level from generation to the generations. Okay, because the cross pollinated crops are heterozygous, and that's why in the next generation, the due to the Mendelian segregation, the characters will be get deteriorated in the further generation. That's why it becomes very difficult to maintain the hybrid vigor at the same level from generations to generations. Okay, here also in the slide I have mentioned, because the hybrid vigor, it decreases rapidly in F2 and the further segregating generations due to cross pollinations and the Mendelian segregations. Okay, and that's why the cultivators cannot be advised to save the seeds from the hybrid crop to use for the next year. Okay, the farmers, that is, they cannot be advised to save the seeds of such hybrid crops which can be used for sowing to raise the crop in the next year. And that's why to overcome this to overcome this difficulty, the parental inbreds are maintained. Okay, that's why to overcome this difficulty, the parental inbreds are maintained, the single crosses are made, and if needed, the double crosses are also made, and then the seeds are distributed to the farmers. Okay, to overcome the difficulty, the parental inbreds, these are maintained, the single crosses are made, and if needed, the double crosses are made, and the seeds are distributed to the farmers. Okay, that is, this is the utilization and the limitation of heterosis and the hybrid vigor in the cross pollinated crops. And here the last one, the heterosis and hybrid vigor in the vegetatively propagated crops. Okay, there is a very difficulty in emasculation and the crossing which is faced, and which in turn compensated by the easier multiplication and the maintenance of the hybrid. Okay, there is a much difficulty in the methods of emasculation and the crossing while this method is practiced in the vegetatively propagated crops. But once the hybrid vigor or the heterosis is obtained in the hybrid, then it is very easy to multiply them and to maintain the superiority of these hybrids. Okay, in such crop, once the hybrid vigor or the superiority of the hybrid is obtained, and that's why it can be multiplied by the vegetative propagation until and unless there are disturbances due to somatic mutations. Okay, that is all about the heterosis and the hybrid vigor. In the theory examination, the long answer question may be asked for the 20 marks as a give and detailed account on heterosis and hybrid vigor.